Welcome to This is Getting Old. I'm your host, Melissa B., PhD, and today I'm going to share with you 3 tips for managing illness at home, whether it's COVID or not. One of the first things that you need to know, and this actually came into play, my mom had some surgery a couple of years ago, and when they came home from the hospital, I was looking at the discharge orders, and I was just like, holy smokes, this is like a lot of stuff for somebody to keep up with. So the first tip is that you do need to have some system for documenting what medication you're taking and when you're taking it. So here is a little example that I made for you. And I'm going to make a nicer one than this, and we'll have it posted on the website. But if your discharge summary or you take multiple medications, this is up to 4 times a day. You can see morning, midday, around dinner time and evening. You do need to be sure that you're writing down the date and time of whatever it is that you're doing. You can put your medication here in this column. So what medication did you take? And then your symptoms here. So why did you take it? And then you guys know me, you got to keep up with how often you're pooping, particularly if you're on pain medication, because that can make you constipated. And if you're an older adult or maybe even not so old, having bowel movements is pretty important for your brain and your ability to think. But when you're sick, you can't remember what you did and when's the last time I took this pain medication or took that this medication. So this is just a real simple way to document what you're doing, and you can change this. So like here's one I did now for my little antibiotic. You can see that I finally got on those oral antibiotics that I didn't need to have by IV, but I'm supposed to take those 3 times a day. And for me, that's not a usual thing to do. And I'm still not quite better, even though I probably look, well, I can show you a picture of what I looked like before when I was sick. And compared to now, it was like night and day. But this is just a quick way for me to write this down. When did I have to take it 3 times a day? And when's the last time I took Motrin? When's the last time I took Tylenol? Because you do forget. And what I did when I was sick is I actually just typed it out on my phone, just had like the date, put the time, didn't worry about a pad. So it just depends on if you're low tech, high tech, there's different ways you can do it, but you do need to make sure that you're at least documenting the date and time of the medication you're taking, why you're taking it, and then keeping track of making sure that you are still going to the bathroom to pee, but most importantly to poop. And if you haven't pooped in 3 days, you need to be letting somebody know about that. And that actually came into play when I was sick, because I didn't realize when I went from that Friday to Tuesday. Friday is when I had my first virtual visit, and Tuesday is when I had the second one. I didn't realize what my temperatures had been prior to, so there had been a change. So it wasn't that the first provider missed it. If I'd had an office visit, she would have done a UA. We would have known right then, situation solved. But because of the pandemic and the way things have changed, it's just going to be harder to be treated for non-COVID illnesses. So that's the first tip, is to document what's happening, because the second provider said, well, when did these fevers 100, 103 start? And I was like, I think they've been here forever. And then I looked and I was like, oh, wait, no, they actually started the day after I talked to you guys the first time. So helpful information. It'll also prevent you from double dosing. So just as soon as you do something, just write it down in your log, whatever you want to use, use your iPhone, and I'll create a little log with a couple of different versions of this that will be available on my website, melissabphd.com. So the second thing you need to know is how to actually take your temperature. And you may be saying to yourself, but Melissa, we all know how to take our temperature. And that's probably true, but you do need to know where your thermometer is. So luckily I had found my thermometer. I've moved about 6 months ago, but had managed to find it, and it was in my bathroom, so I knew where it was. And before you use it, you need to be sure that you use alcohol, little cotton pad, and clean this thing. And you need to clean it in between every time you use it. The other thing is when I would wake up, and this is the part you probably don't know, when I would wake up, I would be like either sweating or I'd be under 4 blankets. And first thing I wanted was a big drink of water. So I would suck back my water, then maybe go to the bathroom. Then I'm like, oh crap, now I can't take my temperature orally, because before you take your oral temperature, you need to have not eaten or had anything to eat or drink for at least 15 minutes before you do an oral temperature. So in that case, because I didn't have enough energy to wait 15 more minutes, particularly if it's in the middle of the night, and this is why you clean this before and after each use. You can also do an axillary temperature. So you just stick it under your arm and then wait for it to beep and then write that down. But there are slight differences, sometimes like half a degree to a full degree difference between an oral temperature and your axillary temperature. So you just need to write down which way you took that temperature in the document, in the notes that you're keeping. So you'll keep your thermometer clean. Be sure that you take your temperature before you eat or drink, or you got to wait 15 minutes. Or you can do an axillary temperature and just write that down and go back to sleep or do whatever it is that you need to do. So, and my third tip for you is how to make your bed. Because when you have a fever of 103 and you're taking care of yourself, you don't have a lot of energy to spend. And so when you make your bed, and I'll do a little video to show you how to do this. Typically, you would fold your covers back one time, and then you would take the top of the covers and fold them back again. Well, if you're sleeping at night and you have the chills because your fever's breaking, or maybe because you have the fever, because actually when your fever's breaking, you throw it all off. But if you're cold, trying to get to your blanket that way is really difficult. So what you need to do is fold it back halfway, but then kick it back up this way, so that as you're laying there sleeping and you're like, oh my God, I'm so cold, all you have to do is reach down to that blanket and just pull it up. So it's just a matter of how you fold it on that bed as to how much effort it's going to take for you to pull it up for your covers. So those are some things that I know to do as a nurse. You may know how to do them. Maybe this is new information for you, but definitely document what's happening, whether you're taking care of somebody else or you're taking care of yourself, because you will forget. I mean, one of the things that happens, and this is true not just for like having the flu or anything like that. This is true when someone comes home from the hospital and they give you that long discharge, all those discharge orders. If you were on 20 medications, go ahead and do some type of grid like this, where if it says take medication A 3 times a day, so that would be breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then it says take this pill at bedtime only, that would go in this box. Now you got to take this antibiotic twice a day. Here and here is where you would put those. But put it into a format that fits your day, because if you just have all your pill bottles lined up, you're like, which one, when do I take each of these things? And then if you have special instructions, like if you are on like a Fosamax or something for osteoporosis, that one you got to take and then sit upright for 30 minutes. If you're on a pain medication, then you have to watch to make sure you have a bowel movement. So this column here, even though it says bathroom, this could be kind of your special instructions for any of those medications. But go ahead and put it in the flow of your day. So then you can fill your pill boxes that say like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Those are always helpful. But but then writing down when you take it. So that's kind of a double way to make sure that you're taking your medications not only the right way, but you're not taking too much of it. So those are your 3 tips today. And again, I'm going to tell you, I think we're all better off just to try to stay healthy which means wearing your mask, still doing your social distancing, washing your hands, and if you do have a fever and no respiratory symptoms, know how to get in touch with your provider. And thank you for joining me today. Stay healthy.
Thank you for joining me today for This is Getting Old. If you'd like to know more, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you have any questions or a related topic you'd like to hear from me about, just let me know. Thanks.